Hi everyone, welcome back to the Voices of Madison Park Black History Month Speaker, Series 6, Episode 6. I'm your host, Ejan. In this series, we're going to be celebrating Black History Month and learning about African American professionals who are making a difference in the Black community. We have students from MP as an audience with us today who will be part of this. The conversation will learn about different speakers, and on today's series, the episode we are excited to have about Dr. Michael Mallery.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm looking forward to a great conversation, brother, and talking about all things success and evolution, brother. How you doing?
Doing good. It's great to hear.
Absolutely. What's up, man? Let's get into it. I'm excited.
All right. I have a list right here with 10 questions that I'm going to be asking you.
Okay.
All I just need you to do is answer them to the best of your ability. That's right.
I can do it.
All right. Our first question is, throughout all your 15 years, did you ever feel like your job was difficult? Did your job ever feel difficult at any point when you were doing it?
Absolutely. I think, so give context, I think over the past 15 years of being an educator, being an educational consultant, trying to go into schools and travel the world, inspiring students like yourself to reach their level of greatness, whatever that may be, how that may feel, how you can dream something, and then what is the work process that it takes to be able to do that, right, and ultimately achieve that. And so, it's ebbs and flows. I think some of the ebbs and flows that made it difficult is, sometimes in life, not everybody is on the same journey as you, right? Not everyone believes in your dream. And so my dream was to go into school at Swagger, let students know that no matter where you are in life, your dreams are massive, your dreams are big, and all you have to do is find a winning team, find a winning circle. That wasn't always a popular message, right? A lot of people understand that there are haters in the world, and so they had individuals, why do you want to go motivate everyone? Everyone is undeserving of being motivated. I disagree with that, and so individuals at times would try to detour me from my purpose, from my passion, from, saying, I'm going to go into schools, I'm going to work with students, I'm going to work with educators, I'm going to work with anyone who will listen to say that the future is as bright as we make it. But if we limit ourselves, or if I limit my goal and my dream to help other people become better for themselves, then I'm limiting my gift, I'm limiting potentially their gift, and I'm also potentially empowering people who believe that I actually think that your words really have a certain level of power over who I am and what I can do. And so over the past 15 years, it was so much of that. It was so many times that, you had people that wouldn't want students to be inspired, wouldn't want students to listen, to individuals coming into the school, because it was like, no, this student is quote unquote a bad student. This student is disengaged. This student, doesn't believe in, his or herself. And I just kept fighting, every single day. And this has allowed me to travel, internationally and nationally to inspire a lot of students.
That's great to hear.
And I appreciate that question.
All right, our second question is, what is your favorite aspect of mentoring others, and what did you find difficult about doing it?
So it's twofold. It's a great question. I would say my favorite aspect of mentoring others, I believe in kind of this principle of lifting while I climb, right? And so there's so many people that I credit for me being here, right? Parents, mentors from sports programs and sports clubs when I played back, in the day. I'm originally from the state of Louisiana. And so I had a bunch of mentors and people who just poured life into me to say, you know what, even if you fail now, you made a mistake, you're better, you will be better, and someday you're going to be able to do these amazing things. And so they always paid it forward. And so for me, one of the blessings of being able to do that is to take all of the wealth of experience and travel and things that I've been able to do, and then get to a space and place to where now I'm able to, pour into young folks and say, hey, this was my journey. This is how I've been able to own businesses. This is how I've been able to publish books. This is how I've been able to do these like really cool, nuanced things, and this is what you can do. And here's the blueprint, right? Here's the blueprint so you can, potentially skip a couple of steps, a couple of different things so you can be better, right? The challenge in that is, right, when we're young and we're trying to navigate and we're trying to grow and we're trying to do particular things, oftentimes when we're finding our own way, it's like, what does that older person know that I don't know? Why should I listen to that person? And I always say, I don't give people advice, I give people a perspective, right? And so a perspective oftentimes is, you know, if I say, hey, you know, yesterday the stove was hot and I touched it and I burned myself, right? So from a mentoring perspective, it could be school, it could be life, it could be a decision, it could be people you're choosing to work with. I can say, hey, so when I touched the stove last year, I burned myself. And when I burned myself, I wasn't able to do X, Y, and Z. I wasn't able to truly fulfill my gifts in this moment. And so I want to give that game to you. I want to pass that information, that insight to you. You might say, man, what do you know? I see the stove right there. I want to make sure that the stove is hot. And so it gets difficult at times right? Oftentimes we see individuals that we want to pour and give so much of the game about how life is and how you could be successful or be successful faster than we are. And a lot of times people, I want to go through my own journey. And sometimes that could be frustrating. And not to mention, I think the world has changed. I would say mentoring nowadays, especially younger folks, you all have access to smartphones, right? And where smartphones come into play is there's a million voices that you are exposed to every single day. There's TikTok, there's Instagram, there's YouTube, right? And there's all of these different people, drop out of school, I made this money, I'm a social influencer, and no one is actually telling you the truth in many regards. But it seems as though because they're posting this kind of perfect life every single day, which we all know perfection doesn't exist, but on social media, so many people's lives look perfect. And it looked like all of their followers are real. And it looked like everything that they're doing is like cosmetically perfect. And so when you have a person who's actually been through some things, you're like, yo, I'd rather listen to the person on social media than the actual person that is tangible that I can touch and have a conversation with. And so sometimes it gets a little heartbreaking, but it's also just a reality of I'm still going to try to do what I'm here to do in my purpose, regardless of kind of those scenarios. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
No, for sure. Great question.
Question 3. Did you think you ever make it to this point in your career?
Did I ever think I would make it to this point in my career? I always hoped I would make it to this point in my career. I'm from the South, man, and so you all, being here in just say Boston, Mass, this like mega city with multiple sports franchises, Ivy League schools, university capital, the first ever school in the country, public school in the country was ever created here. And so you take that and then you take down South Louisiana where we have a lot of good times. We always say, laissez le bon temps rouler, let the good times roll, but it's backwards. It's down south. It's not as exposed, and we don't have the amount of exposure that you all have, right? You have planes, trains, automobiles. We have those things, but you have Ivy League, you have Broadway, you have amazing artists, you have influencers, you have big, banks, you know what I mean? And so I didn't really have all of those things growing up because I grew up like most people. I grew up in, the aspects of the hood, but lower middle class. But, I went through certain schools where some had metal detector, and so I had a great village, but I had more people and that say you have to have a belief in yourself. And so I always knew like, someday I'm just not going to live down south. I'm going to go travel the world because the world is a massive place. And I always told myself, one day I'm going to travel the world, I'm going to travel the world, I'm going to travel the world. And I'm going to do it while inspiring other people. And that's why I've been able to be successful, even though there was a lot of haters on the journey, right? At so many different levels that didn't want me to be where I am today. And there was a lot of people, family and friends, that I had to cut off, right? This is where I'm trying to go. I want to be successful. I want to be great. That's the direction. Y'all coming this way? And it was like, no, I want to go the other way. Hey, I'm going to love you from afar, but this is the way that I want to go. And so sometimes it was lonely. Sometimes I had to, be solo dolo. And other times when I started being true to myself, I started finding successful people over here. Then I started finding other successful people over there. And next thing you know, I had this amazing circle of influence that also spoke life into me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
Absolutely. Great question, man.
No problem. What do you think is the coolest thing that you've been able to do since you started your mentorship program?
The coolest thing I've been able to do, man, that is, I'd probably say the coolest thing I've been able to do was to deliver a swag session in, man, where was this? I want to say Seattle, Washington, and I was able to swag surf, the song Swag Surf, with like 1,300 students. But all 1,300 students also had goals, dreams, and they had ambitions, right? But it was this amazing moment because it was this place in Seattle, this school's, dynamic to where so many of the students, they say, you won't be nothing, right? You can't be inspired. And, hey, good luck coming into the school and inspiring them. That was kind of what was told to me. And they didn't know who I was, right? And especially when it comes to our people and our students, there's nothing we can't do because history says that we're dope, we're amazing, and we change lives and we transform lives.
Right.
And so that was probably a really, 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 really cool moment, man, just to be able to do that with a bunch of black and brown students who are amazing. And we were able to just share this kind of like fun experience. And they were able to kind of like, they really were able to be inspired by that, and knowing that that was only a moment and they had to go back to school every day to do their thing. But it was dope. It was dope and it was inspiring, man. So I'll say that's probably one of the top ones.
Nice. While doing this program, what is the most important thing that you want people to learn from it?
What do I want people to learn? I want people to stop wasting their time, right? I think life right now for so many students is that they have dreams, they have goals, but they're scared, right? They have dreams, they have goals, and they're scared. And then they're surrounded by people who don't believe in their dreams, right? And so kind of how we talked off air, right? Mm. And I said, wow, is this the play for you? Is this the move? Is this something that you can see yourself doing in the future, right? And so you are a young student right now, and you have an amazing future in front of you, right? Mm. And I'm telling you, I don't have to know your full story to know that you're going to do amazing things in the world, right? But I also can say that what makes it difficult at times is you might not have a lot of people that believe in that, right? And so I think it gets challenging when I try to get people to say, like, how do you find people that match your frequency, right? Mm. And so I would say the number one used phrase in the world that most people don't know, but everyone hears it at some point in their life, okay? It's called, if I knew back then what I know now, right? And so you have people who go like years and years and years and like waste time and they waste energy. And then they get older and they're like, yo, if I knew back then what I know now, I had like this amazing production facility and all I had to do was invest my time and my energy and just get better and keep practicing. And now I'm like 25 or I'm 30 years old and I own my own production facility. But if I knew back then to take it serious when I was like 15 or I was 16 and I was able to like take advantage of it, man, my life could look potentially different. And so that's with sports, that's with careers, that's with so many things, right? People say, you're young, you have the rest of the future to figure this thing out. And I would say there's no time like the present. And so that's probably the biggest thing is if you knew back then what you know now, wouldn't you like grind now as a high school student or a young person? And then once you got older, you're like, yo, I can do whatever I want. I can travel wherever I want. And so that's like, for me, I kind of embody being like a student with academic goals. And academics is not just classes, right? It's about being a student of life, right? And so I was the person, I had so many adults when I were in high school. It's like, oh my gosh, well, you work here, right? What are the opportunities that I can do if I invest in myself? Can you mentor me? And they just started giving me like $1 million worth of game. Yo, you can do this. These are like colleges. These are programs you can go. And so in my adult life, now that I'm Dr. Mallery, right, I've got over $300,000 of scholarships that I'll never have to pay back a day in my life. And so then one person will say, well, wow, what could you do with $300,000 that you earn? Whatever I want, right? But I sacrificed, but I surrounded myself with people who leveled up with me because I was focused with that. And I make no apologies for that. And so that's probably the biggest thing is, are you taking advantage of right now? Because I can tell you, social media is never going away. So what you do with social media today, or you don't do with it today, could potentially hinder where you are tomorrow, right? And so that's what I try to get people to think through. How can you think critically of, if I post something today, who controls what I posted? And when I figure out what I want to do, will that, whatever it is, come back to haunt me? So it's fun today, but tomorrow you might want to, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I want to run for mayor. I want to own my own production facility. And then someone says, hey, you remember back in the day, this is who you were, or this is what you did, because you were surrounded with people who didn't understand that. And so that's what I'm passionate about. I make no apologies. At the end of the day, people know in my circle in my life right now, I only hang with winners. And winners are not necessarily people who are successful. I hang with people who just want to be focused on something. We have fun, we travel, we connect when we talk on the phone or whatever it may be. But that's like the frequency, because I know that negativity is always going to be there. I know people who are going to be distracted are always going to be there. I know people who, don't want more out of life are always going to be there. And so that's the message that I go is, why not take advantage of every opportunity right now, right? If you went to a buffet, or if I went to a buffet right now, I love going to buffets. I'm like, I just don't want one thing. I have access to all of these different things. I don't want to limit myself. But what we see every single day, that most people might spend 15 hours a day watching other people live their dreams. I don't want to watch other people live their dreams. I want to live my dream. You know what I mean? And so that changes the story to say, I might be inspired by other people's dreams, but I don't want to be so, oh my gosh, look what Steph Curry is doing. I think Steph Curry is great. But he worked when nobody knew who he was so he can live his dream. Look at LeBron James. Look at Beyonce. Look at X, Y, Z, whoever it might be. But what do most people? I just want to see what they post. And what do they do? And then next thing you know, all right, so what are you doing with your life? I don't know. Well, why don't you know? Oh, because I was seeing what everybody else was doing. And so that's the big goal, man. And that keeps me inspired every single day, because when you figure it out, information changes situation. You never want to go back to just being mediocre. You know what I'm saying? You want to be everything else.
Right. Thank you for that.
Now, of course, great question.
Mm-hmm. Is there anyone who pushed you to be who you are now?
Oh, man, yes. I would say probably my dad. My dad probably pushed me in a substantial way, right? Consistency. He always said, it's not where you go, it's what you do where you go, right? And so I've been fortunate enough to speak at Harvard University. I've been fortunate enough to speak at so many universities across the country. I've been able to go to 8 different countries and be able to engage with people. And so that has been amazing for me. But he always says, it's not where you go, it's what you do where you go. And so I can come here, I'm going to be professional, and we're going to talk. I'm going to treat this like this is Game 7 of the NBA Finals. If I go to Harvard, I'm going to treat it the same way. There's no in-between, because consistent. I want to be consistent. I want to be known as a person that is being very consistent and being very authentic. And so I don't have to turn it off or turn it on. I want to embody what my true gift and my purpose is. And when people understand that, right, where that comes from and for yourself, that changes the game. And so my dad kind of infused that every single day, right? What does it mean to be a man? Meaningful, active, and necessary. So I want to be meaningful. I want to be active. I want to be necessary. I don't want to just deal with fluff for no reason. Guess what? I have a lot of fun. But my fun comes because I'm fulfilled and I'm purposeful and I'm hanging with other people who also understand that. And so I would say my dad was probably the chief of that, and then all of the amazing other mentors I had through sports, that I had through clubs and organizations, that I had at church, and then what they allowed me to do was to continuously be consistent. And they also called me out when I was not doing what I was supposed to do, you know what I mean? And I also needed that, right? I didn't have a bunch of yes people that say, yes, do whatever you want. Yes, yes, yes. It was like, no, I see greatness in you, and you're not acting great right now. And when I was younger, at first, before I really got it, I'd be offended, like, what are you talking about? Until it was like, oh my gosh, they have a story. They've been there, right? One of the earlier questions when I said, if I touch the stove and then I'm giving you that game, and then you're like, I don't care if the stove is hot, I want to touch it anyway. And so I started learning, which I've mastered, is there are amazing people in this world that will give you game for free. Your teachers, they've all been somewhere, and you just have to say, hey, what's your story? And I want to be consistent. Can you hold me accountable? And between my dad, the church, and those organizations, man, it's been a game changer for me, man. And I'm unfortunately, but fortunately, light years ahead of a lot of my peers because I just saw that, I embraced it, and I just continue to embody that every single day.
What do you think the best part of your job is?
The best part of my job outside of the travel is engaging with people like yourself, man. Engaging with students and helping them figure out what makes them come alive. Because I guarantee you, when you figure out what makes you come alive in your why, it changes everything. And so for me, like again, I don't like giving advice. I give a perspective. And the perspective is you can pay now or you can pay later. Today could be day one, or you can keep saying one day. You get to choose, and everywhere I go across the country, you have people every day that's choosing that they want to be successful, that they want to be great, and you have other people who are being distracted, right? And this is what your generation doesn't understand oftentimes is the phone that is so powerful, that smartphone, right? I always laugh with people, but the smartphone is only as smart as you are, right? And so if you are only smart enough to just say go on TikTok all day, Instagram all day, you're limiting a smart device that can have you touring Paris, France if you wanted to be in fashion design. It could potentially limit you from getting information if you wanted to flip homes and be in real estate, if you wanted to do things like that. And so every single day, I have individuals and people that I talk to, and it boils down to that they're scared. And I cannot control the power of marketing and social media. And I don't envy your generation because you have a lot of people lying to you all every single day saying it's easy, it's easy, it's easy. The best food is if you put it in the microwave, and it's not. The best food, right, is going to be prepared like mama and them prepare it, and it takes time, and you got to, make sure that it's clean, it's properly clean, and it's marinated, it's sauteed, however you like it, and then hours later, you get this, like, amazing meal. But everyone's like, yo, just put it in the microwave, or I can just go through the fast food line, and it's easy, and it's accessible, and then your life thinks that everything is easy. Well, school is supposed to be easy, and if it's not easy, then it must be them, not me. Or it's, no, I actually have to work for it. And the harder I work for it, and the harder I challenge myself, and I surround myself with people who are also working for it, the better we get. That's a different frequency, right? That's a different frequency. But so many people, it's easier. And that's why it's Netflix. Netflix has thousands and thousands and thousands of content. And you know what people say? There's nothing on here to watch. And then there's Hulu, and there's Disney, and there's YouTube, and all of these different distractions. And when you look up, you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even thought about what I wanted to do today for myself. What dreams that meant the world to me. And so I get inspired by talking, because every blue moon in the state, it's one or two students like, yo, I want to be locked in. Like, I want to change my world. I want to change my life. Like, I'm like one decision away from being amazing. I meet people like that every single day.
I'm sorry for the interruption at this time. May I have Peter Hernandez to the main office? Peter Hernandez to the main office. Thank you.
Great question, though, man. Great question.
No problem. If you had the chance to say anything in your life or change anything, what would you say or what you would do?
If I could have changed anything in my life, I don't like the butterfly effect, because I think I am who I am based on everything that has transpired. But like that quote I told you, which I'm guaranteeing you is the number one used phrase in the world, if I knew back then what I know now. If I knew back then that all I had to do was just outwork majority of my peers in high school who were lazy, and I could have gotten $100,000 more of free money from schools, oh my gosh, I would have never paid for my undergrad degree ever. If I would have knew back then what I know now, that all I had to do was ask my teachers all of this information and insight that they were going to give me for free versus just doing some of the bare minimum, it would have been a game changer. You know what I mean? And so I wouldn't change it, but me knowing what I know now, it's like, oh my gosh, I would have taken advantage of so many other opportunities, right? Like a studio production like this, oh my gosh, I wouldn't have, just say the minimum for a class might be 5 episodes or 10 episodes. I would have 2,000 episodes that I can grow and practice my craft and having all of the different technology. And so thinking about it like that, to where other people pay thousands and thousands of dollars for a small fraction for 30 minutes of this, to have this in school, you know what I mean? And so I would just have done a whole lot more, you know what I mean? So I'm happy where I'm at. I'm never content because I'm truly a life learner. And so I'm going to read forever. I'm going to take classes forever because the world is always changing. And so just whenever you stop learning, that's when you stop evolving, and you unfortunately get left behind.
That's true. Can you tell us one major conflict that you faced on your journey?
One major conflict. My initial major conflict, which I've helped so many people, was how do you leave the homies behind? How do you leave people who you grew up with, that you were so close with, you played sports with? And I'm like, yo, I'm telling you, like this big world, and one day I'm gonna leave, and I want to go change the world. I want to go to college, and I want to do these amazing things. And no, man, why are you doing this? You want to sell out? Whatever it was, right? And the biggest conflict initially was me feeling guilty of, well, man, that one time we played sports, or that one time, we had and shared this moment. I feel like I'm loyal to you or to whatever you think success should be. And when I figured out, no, I just want more. And it's okay to want more, but sometimes when you want more for everyone is their own person at the end of the day. And so when I decided that I'm gonna go change the world, yep, and we're gonna change lives, and we're gonna navigate space and place, and we're gonna do a couple of different things. And those who say, you know what, I rock with that, let's do it, cool. But a lot of my boys, the conflict was like, yo, oh, you fake now. And I had to start asking myself, so I want to make good grades in school, and that makes me fake? I want to travel the world and inspire people. No, your insecurity is now being pushed on me, and you making me feel guilty for that. And so I have no conflict with that. I actually have a prerequisite now. I'll be cool with anybody, but you have to want to be successful, and you have to be positive.
Right.
That's my prerequisite. But it took time for me to figure out that, oh my God, I don't need your validation. And some mountaintops, if you understand, like people who climb mountains, not everyone makes it to the apex. It's not meant for everybody. Some people are like, yo, I'm good at this. This is my altitude right here. I'm good. And I can say like, yo, there's no judgment. There's no nothing. I see you. I understand you. I vibe with it. But I still want to go higher. I still want to go higher. And so, when I come back down, dab it up, we can go grab food. We can talk about when we made it to this point of the mountain. But there's other people that want to go higher, and I want to meet those people. You know what I mean? And so that was the biggest conflict, but that has become the biggest freedom for me because it also allowed me to set boundaries. And so people know, you know what? Dr. Mallery is really cool. He values his time. And because he values his time, he wants to be successful. And so I'm going to bring him questions and things that are amazing, or he's going to provide me with amazing information in moments. But he's probably not going to just hang out and just waste time. Not that everybody's time is not equal. He's just trying to build and inspire. And so, though I think that other moments are great, and I have those amazing moments, right? I watch sports and I do those things. I just don't want to talk about other people's dreams. I want to inspire people's dreams, or I want to live my own.
Right on.
Yeah, right on, brother. Great questions, man.
All right. Our last question.
Last question. All right.
Do you have any advice that helped you come this far?
Any advice that has helped me? Any advice that has helped me come this far? Man, I've gotten great advice. Let me see what's a good piece of advice that I got. When you find your purpose, you find yourself. And I found my purpose. My purpose is to be a positive beacon of light, be creative, collaborate, and then to do that with so many amazing people across the world. And I was so caught up in trying to live other people's purpose that it took me, and when you find your purpose, you'll find yourself. And so I was like, I want to be this thing, this thing over here. I want to just go be in straight corporate America. I was like, no, I fundamentally love inspiring students or people to be better than they are. But I also want to be a model of that, so I just don't want to be a person speaking it. I'm going to go to school, and I'm going to be amazing, and I'm going to do things. And I'm going to become an entrepreneur, and so I'm going to do the actual things that I'm ultimately going to go out and tell people to do for that reason.
Interruption at this time. May I have Peter Hernandez Jr. to the main office? Peter Hernandez Jr. to the main office, please. Thank you.
It's all good. Yeah. And so, that aspect and element of everything is probably the best advice. And the real ones are gonna love you no matter. The real ones are gonna celebrate you even when they depart you. And I like that a lot, man. It's to have people who are celebrating my journey, even though they know that I'm leaving them behind. That's the authentic, that's the real ones to say, no. You're too great. Hey, no. Go out there, make us proud, because this is what your purpose is, and you've been being very consistent. And we rooting and we authentically happy for you. That's been an amazing experience, brother.
Sounds like it.
Man, I just know that, great question. So what made me want to just publish the second edition of Students with Academic Goals, I'm not out here trying to compete with Harry Potter books or any of those things. I wanted to give 50 plus academic tips that I knew from talking to so many students makes students with academic goals, right? That high achieving students, all these students that have these goals, that want to be successful, not necessarily just for college, but for life. How can I put that in a particular way, and then at the end of it, kind of make it a journal to where students could, what I call swag checklists, they can check off and build these winning habits, right? And so every day I did these particular things, and that they can engage in self-reflection. And at the beginning of the book, what I believe is just super important is just dream building. And so dream building sections to where it's, if you see every single day I'm looking at my dreams and my goals, they're going to have to materialize itself or manifest itself, because if I see it, and then I actually have these academic tips or these things that I can follow, or then ask other mentors or people about, and then I can build these winning habits, I can begin to start seeing progress. And I always say slow progress is still progress. And so that's what made me want to update it to make it more refined and consolidated for today's students, because, I am competing with TikTok and these other things. And so to have this elongated read versus these many nuggets of just information that it could apply for them. So swag tip 20 might apply to some, 28 might apply to others. And all of these pieces, then it can make it more real for them in an easily digestible way. So thanks for that question. Any other questions?
Nope, that's all we have today.
All we have today? All right, that's good.
Thank you all for watching. Thank you for coming, Doctor. And we'll see y'all in the next episode. Thank you.
In the next episode. Appreciate the time and the energy.